U.S. tariffs on China are being blunted by trade cheats. Billions of dollars worth of China-made goods subject to tariffs by the Trump administration in its trade fight with Beijing are dodging the China levies by entering the U.S. via other countries in Asia, especially Vietnam, according to trade data and overseas officials. The Trump administration has for more than a year sought to weed out the practice known as transshipment, in which Chinese exports typically are minimally processed or altered during a brief stop in a third port and then re-exported as a product originating from the third port. Such in the first 5 months this year, exports to Vietnam from China of electronics, computers, and machinery and other equipment have sharply increased compared with a year earlier. In turn, the phenomenon of trade fraud through labeling of the origin of goods as being produced in Vietnam is increasing, the Vietnamese Ministry of Industry and Trade said in a statement. Such fraudulent Vietnam's customs agency said this month that it instructed its provincial and municipal branches to step up inspection and verification of certificates of origin, a document that accompanies all international shipments, according to state media. The regulator said Vietnam, which abuts China's southern fringe, last year was at the center of a Trump administration effort to curb transshipment of Chinese exports of steel and furniture via Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand and Malaysia. A spokeswoman for U.S. Customs and Border Protection said it has identified illegal transshipment of Chinese goods through several countries, pointing to cases in recent months in Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines. She said Washington's campaign in recent years included slapping punitive duties, in addition to the broad tariffs, on Chinese origin goods from steel to furniture that the U.S. Commerce Department deemed to have been transshipped. It is unclear how related video where the U.S. stands on trade with its biggest partners. Outside Asia, nations such as Serbia and Mexico also play these middleman roles, shippers say. But U.S. officials, in May 2018, the U.S. imposed duties of more than 250% on certain Vietnam steel exports after finding they contained a significant portion of Chinese steel. The ruling hinged on U.S. officials are stepping up enforcement against companies re-exporting Chinese goods via the Chinese-owned Sihanoukville Special Economic Zone in Cambodia, accusing unidentified firms of transshipment, the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh said. Companies in the zone. The Department of Homeland Security has investigated and fined a number of companies for evading tariffs in the U.S. by routing goods through Cambodia, Emily Zeberg, a media official for the embassy, said in an email this week. Vietnam, which has benefited from the trade dispute between the U.S. and China, is vulnerable to losing some of its newfound business if the country is perceived as a transshipment center. It is primed to bet. The reshaping of global supply chains, particularly in tech, is set to continue even if President Trump and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping make headway on any kind of trade deal at the G20 meeting this week. Such Vietnam's exports of computers and electronics to the U.S. increased 71.6% in the first 5 months this year to $1.8 billion, more than 5 times the pace of its exports of such products worldwide. In the same period, in the January-May period, exports to the U.S. of machinery and equipment from the Southeast Asian nation rose 54.4% year-over-year to $1.7 billion, compared with a 6.7% rise globally, Vietnam data show. Imports from China. The practice of transshipment is widespread enough that it has spawned port infrastructure to support it, trade professionals say. Many buildings called factories are set up in Vietnam, which are really storage structures to hold goods being sent here, but are really made in China, said Jeffrey Newman, founder of Jeffrey Newman Law, a Boston-based firm that handles tariff evasion cases. Vietnam customs officials didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Trade trends in Taiwan, a major tech exporter, also have drawn attention. The Taiwan's economic ministry said in a statement this month that it is monitoring for signs of transshipment, but attributed the increase to strengthening U.S. demand and increased Taiwanese investment.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.